Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back from lunch for those that were here for the morning session, and welcome along to this event for those of you that joined us over lunch. My name is David Chapman. I'm Senior Project Executive for an organisation called Interface, and our primary role is linking businesses to universities and research institutes in Scotland. We've put this apps event on today for businesses and organisations across the Highlands and Islands in conjunction with Ian Hamilton, who's the Head of Creative Industries at Highlands and Islands Enterprise. I don't know, Ian, somewhere in the room. And Chris Moole at Robert Gordon University, who some of you have heard from earlier on, and give a fantastic introduction and scene setting to today's event. So I'm not going to try and top that. But what I will do is just put the event into a little bit of context, why we have put this event on today, what we're hoping to get out of it, and what we hope that you, as businesses and organisations, will get out of it. And no such thing as a free lunch, so unfortunately I'm going to just give you a quick 2-minute overview of Interface and what we do. You'll see there we've got the hashtag set up for those of you that want to tweet about the event as we go through the presentations, and it's hashtag Interface Apps. You'll all have got an agenda when you arrived, so you've got the programme, the running order there, just a series of short presentations from a mixture of academic speakers and from businesses who have actually gone and developed apps, who are working in apps development and have actually created and launched apps into the market. So when Chris, Ian and myself were talking about putting this event on some 3 or 4 months ago, we were thinking, who's going to come along? What types of businesses are going to come? You know, why will businesses be interested in apps? You know, there's huge kind of buzz, huge talk about them. We heard some of the figures from Chris in terms of, you know, how much money can be made from them. One of the figures that I read was last year there was 33 billion apps downloaded between Apple App Store and Google Marketplace. Couple of years' time, that's set to rise to 77 billion. So, you know, there's huge opportunities there. I thought the organisations that will come along to this, why are they coming along? Why are businesses developing and launching apps? So what I did was I had a look at the devices I've got, and I've got an iPhone for work, I've got an Android phone for my own personal use, I've also got the Apple iPad, and that's probably not uncommon. You know, multiple devices that people have got, and will have different apps for different purposes on these devices. So I had to look through, and it probably says quite a lot about me, the apps I've got on them, and I've picked out 5 apps that I've got on the various different devices that I use for different things, and it really got me thinking about why the companies or organisations that have launched these apps have done so. So the first one is they've developed it as a product, and it's Keynote. Developed the app to deliver this product, downloaded that for the iPad, presentation software. In fact, I think Graham and Gordon are both going to use this to deliver their presentations later on the iPad. $6.99 they charged for that, and you know, it allows me to create, edit and deliver presentations off the iPad. Next one is ESPN Goals. I don't know how many of you in the audience have heard of this or have got it, but it's my second favourite app in the whole world. And this was launched basically to disrupt the market. What it is it's an app that you can download for free, and it delivers highlights from Premier League football games, either at half-time, and it will give you brief highlights, it will give you the goals, and then at 5 o'clock on a Saturday, you will get highlights of all the goals. It's free to download. Most of the other Premier League services like this are charged for services. They've launched this free, and they're basically funding the app through advertising. So when you go on, you'll get an advert of Lionel Messi and Ronaldo kicking a ball about for Pepsi or whoever. But this is, you know, solved untold arguments in my household. No longer do I have to wait till 10 o'clock at night to watch Match of the Day. You know, at 5 o'clock, I can download all the goals, I can watch them, and by 5:15 I've seen all the goals in the Premier League, so I don't have to have arguments with my girlfriend later on if we're going to watch The Voice or X Factor or whatever it may be. The next one is actually my favourite app, and it's Sky Go. For those of you who have got Sky Television, This is an app that allows you to watch the different Sky channels on either your iPhone or your iPad. Again, they have launched this to enhance their product. They're not charging for this, but in an ever more competitive marketplace with the likes of the Monopolies and Mergers Commission, meaning that the likes of BT Vision and Virgin are allowed to show Sky Sports, they have had to enhance their product offering. So an app like this means that Sky customers can watch Sky Television wherever they are. They don't need to be in the home. Again, solved untold arguments. Last Saturday, for example, girlfriend was sitting watching The Voice, and I wanted to watch El Clasico, Real Madrid versus Barcelona. Oh, but I want to watch this, watch this. I just hooked up the iPad, could watch that with the headphones in. It's just the comfort of my own couch, just a different way of delivering the existing service. Another way is this company, Draw Something, it's OMG Pop, developed this game called Draw Something. And it's an existing idea that was in the marketplace. It's Pictionary, basically. There's obviously a lot of clever stuff, clever coding around it, but the figures for this are remarkable. It was launched in February of this year. Within 8 weeks, it had been sold to Zynga for $210 million in 8 weeks. And just some of the figures around this. It was on the 12th of February, you had 3 drawings per second. So essentially what it is it's like Pictionary. I download the app, my friend downloads it, we've got a username, I draw a picture, depending on what word it is, send it to them, then they have to guess. You'll see a version of the picture, that's Pikachu from Power Rangers or whatever they are. You draw the app, your friend guesses it, then they draw a picture, send it to you, and it just bounces back and forth. It's free to download, and you get a certain number of words that you can draw pictures to. Then, as Chris was saying earlier on, you've got the enhanced service that they're actually charging 59 pence for. So 12th of February, you had 3 drawings per second for this app. By the 26th of February, you had 330 drawings per second around the world. By the 8th of March, you had 3,000 drawings per second. And again, the growth rate is phenomenal. It took AOL 9 years to get to 1 million users. It took Facebook 9 months. It took Draw Something 9 minutes. So, the figures are pretty compelling. And finally, people may be launching apps as an alternative channel to interact with their customers or clients. Studies show that a lot of use on tablet computers are done on the couch, often in front of the television. So it's no surprise that Domino's Pizza have launched an app. And through this app, you can build your own pizza, choose your toppings. It places the order directly with your closest outlet. You can pay through it by PayPal, and then you can even track your order as it arrives to your door. Superb. So, why have we done an event on apps? Well, a few reasons. Basically to support and encourage the creative industry sector in the Highlands and Islands. We've got a very vibrant, innovative sector, very diverse. So the hope is that we can, by doing an event like this, we'll give people kind of hints and tips around this that they can take away, introduce into their own businesses, and hopefully we can get together a community or a developing group or a cluster of these creative businesses, and that people developing apps and looking to create content can all do so together. This is very much to kick-start either collaborative projects or further discussions. We've put this event on today because we think it would be something that would be of interest of businesses in the Highlands and Islands, that would resonate with them. But this is very much our thinking, so we really welcome your feedback on what you think worked, what didn't work so well, maybe other areas or other sectors that we could do something similar and maybe provide a bit more focus on in this area. Lastly, but by no means least, is to foster collaborations. My organisation, Interface, is all about fostering collaborations between business and academia, and we're hoping that an event like today, either it be through some of the presentations that you hear later on, or maybe a spark or an idea that you have when you go back to your businesses, maybe in the next week or two, maybe in the next month, 6 months, but there may be something there that either myself or one of the speakers can help you take forward. It's really just around that collaborative process. Interface, we are a matchmaker for businesses. We are funded by the Scottish Funding Council, Highlands and Islands Enterprise and Scottish Government, and we are here to help businesses overcome problems, challenges, do things new by linking in with academia. So we are completely impartial. We work with all the universities, research institutes, research pools in Scotland. So we will do everything from the demand side as well. So a business will come to us with a challenge or a problem, and we will look for the best solution within academia that will overcome that business's problem. You'll hear from speakers from Robert Gordon University and from Abertay later on, but as I say, we're completely impartial. We have relationships and we work with all 24 higher education institutes right across Scotland. And what are the benefits from working with academia? Well, here's some of the figures that we obtained from businesses that we've helped over the last year or so. Things that we would expect: people developing new products, developing new services, accessing new markets. But one of the surprising figures was the one down on the bottom right-hand side as you look at it, further investment. A lot of companies are coming to us to kind of maybe test ideas out or to put a stamp of approval on some of the things that they're doing, that then they can use that as evidence to leverage in further funding, be that from government or be it from business angels or venture capitalists or whatever. Quite often when we work with businesses, they have quite a narrow view of what working with a university means. As you'll see later on today, it could be anything from a business working with a group of students as part of the curriculum, could be working with postgraduate students, could be working with the likes of Graham or his team at Robert Gordon University. It could be consultancy, it could be collaborative research and development. Whatever your business is looking to do and whatever you have to put into that in terms of resources, be that financially or personnel, we should be able to find an avenue for you to work with the university. And finally, part of our role is to help signpost or identify funding that will help take forward your collaborative projects. Hearing today around apps, but we work with all sizes of businesses across all sectors, looking to overcome problems in all different areas. So if there's anything that you think that we could help with, I'll be around for the rest of today, be around for the Q&A session, and my contact details are on the business cards at the front. If you want to drop me an email or send me a call, I'll be more than happy to speak to you. So that's enough from me. Now I'm going to hand you over to Chris, who's going to do a facilitated session with Shaun from Vector 76. And I'm not going to read through his bio. You've all got that in front of you. But Shaun is the co-founder of Vector 76. And they're just going to give us a kind of overview on some of the future thinking around apps, where they're going, some of the platforms that are emerging, and what some of the opportunities could be for businesses to tap into that.
Yeah. Let's sing a duet. I think you want to get that microphone. So thanks, David. Yeah, I'm afraid you're going to have to listen to my tones again. But I have the pleasure of sitting and doing a Q&A discussion with Shaun Allan, who's the co-founder of Vector 76. You've got it biography, but I'm actually going to ask himself to just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you came into co-founder Vector 76.
Hi. Yeah, we started the company about 2 years ago, and our initial sort of remit to ourselves was to develop a company that would specialize in 3D virtual development. So we initially worked in areas like OpenSim and Second Life and that sort of thing. Our relationship with HIE pretty much stemmed out of doing some work up here in Inverness for the Go North Festival a couple of years ago. We started by working on a project where we rebuilt this venue, the Ironworks, and we streamed an event from here into the Second Life environment live. On I think it was the sort of after party or something. The band DJ's LED were on and a few other people. And that proved really successful. We had avatars visit it from all over the world. And it just gave the whole event a completely different slant to what you would normally do with a music festival. That's how we started. We also developed a bit of IP, which is the Newcastle Gateshead Quayside, which is where we're based. We built that environment, so the real a copy of the real environment in Second Life, and we used that again to drive events through and that sort of thing, which led on to us working with schools and again building 3D virtual schools so that the pupils and the staff could experience what a new build was going to be like before it existed and that sort of thing. So we worked with Ryder Architects, building a full-size school before the coalition came in and scuppered BSF funding, which meant we lost 4 jobs. But from that we've continued to work in the virtual space. We've always had very strong links as a company because of our background with the music industry and entertainment and stuff. So to those ends, the beginning of this year, we started to get involved in apps, mainly as a delivery mechanism for an augmented reality piece that we've been working on for a rock band.
When you say Second Life, can you explain what you mean by that?
Second Life's a 3D virtual environment which has been going for about 8 years now. It's like an online environment. A couple of years back, it went through what is commonly known as a seriously bad hype cycle where it was just all over the place. People were, it was either in The Sun, The Guardian, on TV and all that sort of stuff. And to a degree got a fair amount of bad publicity. You got the whole sort of extremist views of people going off with avatars and being unfaithful to their partners and all that nonsense. So that was the press it got. But since then, things have calmed down, and a lot of real work gets done in that space, which is what not just us, but other companies such as Dayton and Second Place is another company up in Aberdeen, are all doing serious work in those sort of environments.
And so Vector 76, you're based in Gateshead?
We're based in the new shiny Northern Design Centre, which is just next to the Sage Music Centre in Gateshead.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many years have you been going?
Well, we've been going since about 2009. We started part-time. I used to work at University of Sunderland for my sins, being a mag. But we started then, and we went full-time with it beginning of last year. We have 3 members as full-time staff, and we have another 3 who kind of work for us freelance, so we draft in and out for different projects.
And so in terms of apps, you said you were doing some augmented reality stuff, which I alluded to in my presentation as being a real growth opportunity coming up. Tell us a little bit more about the apps that you're developing at the moment.
Yeah, sure. What we did was, there's a rock band called Therapy, which one or two you may have heard of from Northern Ireland, and a music business connection of old. We ended up having a chat with their manager, their label manager, and they were after doing something a little bit different for the promotion of their album in February of this year. And we'd already begun to kind of play around and develop something within the augmented reality space, using some APIs which are out there for everyone to use, to be fair.
Can you explain an API?
An application programming interface. I'm a designer, you really got me there. I have heard the phrase API, SDK and all that stuff, software development kit, I remember that one. So we thought, well, it would be good to do a piece of work like that. And basically, all it does, the cover image of the album was used obviously in the press and whatnot, and the users or fans of the band were instructed to download a free application that we developed, which is mainly to deliver about 1.5 minute segment of the first single release. That's primarily what the app does. But the more we began to think about it, the more we realized that if we developed the app almost as a channel, like you were talking about earlier on, it means that in various pieces of printed media, we now have this effectively this channel that we can put other information through, which will be primarily music related with this app. So to those ends, when we worked on the application, it's triggered, if you like, from the artwork of the album cover. And it is also triggered, we were quite sneaky in that we took an ad in the Music Week, the kind of music industry Bible still. They were printing a wall chart before Christmas, going out with the conventionally printed magazine. So we took an ad on that wall chart, knowing it would be in various music industry types offices for the rest of the year. And we augmented the ad with our app, which is the one that delivers the therapy content.
When you say triggered, what exactly does somebody have to do?
Do you want me to show you? It's probably easier.
That'd be great. Yep.
Okay. Bear with me, that's a bit of Paul Daniels bit, this.
You've also bought the CD as well, haven't you? Is that it? Sitting over there.
This. I'm hoping the light's strong enough to pick this up. So basically, this is a larger version of the ad that we took on the conventional wall chart. So apologies to other developers who have seen stuff like this. This is the ad we took in Music Week. So if I get my iPad, we developed this for iOS, Apple, and Android as well. Right. So basically what the user does is hold it over the image, and I'll probably try and get out of the way, but it basically is playing the segment of the track. So I'm sure you kind of get the idea. When you move it away from the image, it stops. What would look like interference from the back, the white particles on the piece is basically relative to the video, because there's a scene when there's like nuclear fallout and all that sort of stuff. So we put a particle system on, which gives the effect of looks like snow, but it's not snow. Yeah.
And you said you decided to go with iOS, so that's Apple, and Android as well.
Yeah.
And what thought processes did you go through to make that decision?
To a degree, it was dictated by the system we used to develop it. It was relatively easy for us to be able to output to both formats. We use to the developers. We use Unity 3D, so we develop the content in Unity, which is a games engine, and then we can output to the both formats.
And what, when you were creating that app, what dilemmas were you faced with when creating that app?
The creating side, we had a fairly free rein. To us, the issues we had, or the challenges, if you like, were getting used to the whole application process, particularly with Apple. Applying to be an actual company developer was a bit of a trial. They tend to want to fax you information, or they want you to fax them. And we didn't even have a fax machine. It's kind of like going back in time. Why have we got to fax you? You're Apple, you know. But they are very, very, very stringent. If they want your application written using certain words and certain sentences. And if you don't do it their way, they'll just knock you back. I had something like 7 or 8 variants of the same fax message had to be done. So there's part of me thinking, well, now they're just testing us out to make sure we're legit. But in the end, we got there. But obviously, with as you alluded to earlier on, with Android Google, it's a lot easier. You just publish it.
And so you now have this app available?
Yeah, the app, obviously we made the app free. From our point of view as a company, we're all about building it as a channel. We're only a small company. We're not anything like the size of some of the other augmented reality apps out there. But yeah, we see it as a channel we want to expand on.
And how do you feel, and you know, for a lot of the developers that are out there, I was speaking to someone at lunchtime, it's a crowded marketplace. How are you going to get this app noticed?
I guess we're quite lucky in the sense that we've got this music industry link, which is what we've used it with so far. But it is due to just having something to go out and show people, and just getting our sort of hands dirty and just getting involved has had a massive effect on us. We're now talking to companies in the medical space. We're now talking to companies in heritage and culture and stuff. The whole museum thing of looking at a pot and making it interesting. We're doing some stuff with an organisation called Beads World down in South Tyneside, and it's all their museums all about the Venerable Bede and the Lindisfarne Gospels and stuff. So we're doing some work with them, where we'll be augmenting the bits and pieces of exhibits, basically make them more entertaining, primarily for kids, to be fair. Make statues talk to you and that sort of thing.
And you, when you did the demonstration, you had Wi-Fi? Are you running Wi-Fi at the moment?
No, all the content is within the app.
It's within the app, so it's a native app. So
it's basically once you've got it, It just needs the trigger.
Got you. Because of course, one of the challenges that we have in the Highlands is the lack of 3G networks, lack of Wi-Fi, and so this is overcoming that. So I guess.
It's like I say, it's effectively sat there waiting to be triggered by the right image. Or we're now looking at routines where we can augment actual 3D objects, so it's not dependent on an image, which is going to be quite useful commercially.
So, for example, you could have a Mars bar, you put it over a Mars bar, and then that would send you some information about nutritional content or that content maybe for a Mars bar, and send you to an advert.
How dangerous pies are, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So in terms of advertising and promotion,
in terms of advertising, augmented's going to be absolutely massive over the next year. You're just going to start seeing it everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Tesco's are already doing some work with augmented. And quite a lot of the bigger brands, TUI, the holiday company, Thomson Group, I think it is, they took an augmented ad earlier on this year, and it did similar stuff to ours. It triggered a bit of video, but of a location for a holiday. Sales via that mechanism tripled, so it's really, really powerful.
Are QR codes dead, do you think? Did they ever really take off? What was the problem with that? For QR codes, I mentioned it before, these like little square
barcodes.
Square barcodes basically that you put you need a QR reader. I mean, that's one of the problem, isn't there? They're a bit flaky at the best of times.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing about, I suppose, QR codes is that most devices do kind of come with some type of QR reader. So in that sense, they'll probably still be around a little while longer. But from a design point of view, even though they're black and white, I don't like them because they're kind of a bit of an obtrusive image. Yeah. I like we prefer the whole idea to augment something from what's there.
One of the things that when I first met you, we spoke about was what's going on in the northeast around Newcastle and Gateshead area. And certainly when I spoke to David, we felt that there were really good lessons to learn. Because I think one of the things that you're doing down there that's quite exciting is developing this community of developers and content providers. And you spoke to me a little bit about that. And I just wondered if you could share a little bit about that with this audience.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think there's some very good sort of practical examples of best practice that maybe the Highlands could use.
Definitely.
Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, sure. Basically what's been happening in the northeast generally, which is more or less, ended up being centred around Newcastle and to a degree Middlesbrough as well. Probably from my bio, you've seen I used to work in the games industry, and I can remember about 15 years ago, there was around about four games development companies in Newcastle, one of which I obviously worked for, and none of them would ever talk to each other. It was really, really bad. Everyone was kind of like, it was like a Cold War of development going on. In the past 5 years in the Northeast, that's completely changed. All the games development companies talk to each other. All the app and mobile folk, they all talk to each other. There's all various networking events, and it's had a massive change on the whole thing. It's really built up an impetus of a central core of digital creative companies. I think that the last count there was something like 2,000 digital creative companies taking in games, apps, everything. and they generate around, I think it's 900 million a year. It, all centered around an initiative set up called CodeWorks. And CodeWorks were initially funded by the local RDA, which was One North East, which is now defunct since various things happened. They're now totally independent and self-funded, but in the process of building up the network of digital creative sector in the North East, they're now, they also put on kind of like globally important events with a really high profile, such as Thinking Digital, which is kind of like a TED talk type event, but UK based.
And what about the investment community?
Investment's quite good as well. There's a lot of sort of venture capital activity. Quite a few big investment companies moved up to Newcastle just before the sort of recent crash, if you like. And they're very heavily involved with a lot of the companies. They've funded. There's a company called ScreenReach down back at home, and what they do is they have a particular product which re-enables digital signage to be used on devices. So your phone, your tablet, or whatever will interact with a bit of digital signage in an airport or a university or whatever it is. And they got investment funding in the UK and links in the States, and got funding over there as well. So it's quite well set up for that.
Shaun, there's probably people in the audience that have an idea for an app. They might have a small company or sort of it's been going for a few years, and they think that an app would help them to achieve some of their business objectives. Don't really know what to do next. They've got an idea. They might have a small amount of funding. What would you advise, other than come and speak to Robert Gordon University? What would your advice to them people be that have a good idea? Not an awful lot of investment money, but want to maybe go and test something and do something about it.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, we stumble into apps, so I'm not a total app guru by any means. What I would say was, obviously, think your idea through fully. Jot down how you see the logic of it working, even though you're not a coder or maybe even not a designer. Just kind of sketch it out, wireframe it, just so that when you do get to talk to a coder or a designer, ideally both, they're going to get a very quick and rapid idea of what the app's going to do. Equally, in case it's an Angry Birds, I'd maybe try and have a chat to a lawyer as soon as you can. Not in a paranoid way, do you know what I mean, of getting too hung up about the whole IP thing. But at the end of the day, if it does turn out to be an app which goes really big, you want to protect yourself in your ideas. It might be worth with that instance to try and avoid the cost of. Hope there's no lawyers in here, but try and avoid the cost of all the legal stuff. Have a word with someone like the British Library down in London, who've got an IP centre there, which will provide you with loads of advice. It's probably worth HIE or yourselves talking to them, because they're looking to set up satellite IP centres around the UK. I'm aware that there's one in Newcastle, just started last year. So that's. But mainly, I would say, have a go. Get involved. Don't kind of avoid it just because you're not a coder or a designer. There's plenty of them out there. Yeah,
one of the things I try and do, and I think Graham Grant, who's a colleague from mine from RTU, hopefully if he hasn't changed his presentation, it will answer this question, but it's to really think strategically whether an app is the right way to go, and whether it's a business strategic decision or whether it's just a nice to have and it's a jumping on the bandwagon decision, because time and effort and your energy will be put into developing an app, and it might not be the best way to go, because you might find that 6 months down the line you've actually spent a lot of time, money and energy on creating an app, and it's only brought you in a couple of £100, which has been the experience of a lot of small companies, hoping that will you? Thank God for that.
Yeah, so, I would agree with that. There's no point in doing an app just for the sake of it being an app. I mean, I've seen some, probably like yourself, some fairly bad ones, which are one step up from a 1996 website. To be honest, you know what I mean. They're not all that. They're just a bit of old-fashioned terms, multimedia. That's it. That's all it does. which is rich come from me because we just deliver augmented, but we don't say we're doing anything else.
But some of the best apps are the most simple. I mean, certainly some of the best apps on my iPhone are the most simple.
Absolutely.
And I was talking to a mum earlier whose son's 15-year-olds and just creating the most beautiful, simple games on the iStore. And he's selling them. And he's just been doing that in his bedroom by the sounds of it. And so good luck to him. And hopefully we can see the new generation of app developers.
That aspect of it reminds me of the old 8-bit days, and kind of little cottage industry games setups. I went through it myself when I was younger and stuff, and it's great that kids can do that. Really good.
So how are we doing for time? I had a couple more questions. Then did you want to take some from the audience as well? One more. I was going to ask you a quick one then, and then maybe we could take one from the audience. Well, which is your favourite app of all time? What's your favourite one? And you can't say Shazam because I've got one.
Well, when was it David before? Or am I getting his mixed up? When David was doing his list before, basically I was playing app bingos. He went through his, and I had all of them. They were like my top 5 as well. No, I'm saying.
Oh, right, yeah, he sees
what.
Like,
okay. There's. Sorry. No. I mean, in the sense that I had all the ones you had.
The ESPN goals and the Sky.
Yeah, apart from Sky, because we're Virgin for my stuff. But to be fair, draw something. I use it all the time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's my favourite app.
Cool. Can we take one from the audience?
Time for one question.
One question. Oh,
Got like a Q&A session at the end.
That's true. We have a Q&A session at the end. One question from the audience. Go for it. No, we'll leave it till the end.
No, yeah,
great.
Yeah, answered that then. Right. Thank you very much, Shaun.
No Cheers.
Can you give some appreciation to Shaun Allan?